Welcome to Excel Magic Trick number 436. Hey, if you want to download this workbook and follow along, click on my YouTube channel and click on my college website link, and you can download the workbook Excel Magic Trick 431 to 439. Hey, in this trick we have some import. Here's some information like a program like QuickBooks or something, and it dumps all these little tiny columns, and instead of using the indent feature, so all of the account numbers are in one column, they're in separate columns. This account number right here is in column D. This account number here is in column B. There's one in A, and there's also one in C. Right? So we have on a separate sheet all of the account numbers, and we want a simple VLOOKUP. Well, to retrieve all of these values, we can't just do a simple sheet reference because not all the account numbers are listed, and apparently this is from some query, so it's being refreshed regularly, and you're not allowed to change these account numbers. VLOOKUP would be simple if we wanted to retrieve these values if all the account numbers were in the first column, right? But they're not, and we're not allowed to change it. So we have to build some ridiculous formula. Let's just do the VLOOKUP part of it. I want to look up that value right there, comma, the table array. I'm going to click over here. If they were all in column A, it would be this simple. I just highlight column A, right? Because everything would be in the first column. The lookup column is going to be M or 13. I'm going to hit the F4 key. I'm going to do this little trick where I click my cursor there and hit a space to get me back to this other sheet, and then backspace. Now right now we have our table array, so comma. Column index is going to be 15 because it's in the 15th column, the thing we're retrieving. And I'm going to put 0 because we're looking up words, and they may not necessarily be sorted in alphabetical order. Close parentheses, Control Enter, and then I'm going to drag it down. Remember, this formula would work just fine. Whoa, that doesn't look so good. It's supposed to be finding something for this one. Oh, it's 13, not 15. I can't even count letters. How many of us can count letters? M is the 13th letter, right? So there we go. It's 13 instead of 15. Ah, look at that, 13. So it's VLOOKUP would be simple, but no, we're going to have to do this big messy formula. Well, here's the trick. Let's go back over here and look. We have one, so it's A, B, C, D. Those are the different columns where our lookup table should start. And if we start with A, it's going to be column 13. If we start with B, it's going to be 12. C, it's going to be 11. And D, it's going to be 10. So watch this. We just copy this one formula and Control C. And now we're going to do an if. If, and our logical test is going to be is number. Is the VLOOKUP delivering a number like it is here, here, and here? Close parentheses at the end. So now we have our logical test. We type a comma. If that's true, then what do we want? Value of true, our VLOOKUP we just did. And then a comma. Now we got that first part. We're going to have to repeat it 4 times. By the way, this formula will work in multiple versions going backwards. Just a moment, I'll show you an easier formula for 2007 that'll make all of you who don't have 2007 go out and buy it. All right, so you ready? The value of false, I'm going to Control V. And this is where we got to change. Look here, and we got to change the lookup table from A to B, and the 13 to 12, and then this second A to B, and this second 13 to 12, right? And then we're going to Control V. We have it again. We have to change this A to a C, this 13 to an 11, this A to a C, and this 13 to an 11. And finally, Control V, one last one. We're going to change the A to a D, and the 13 to a 0, and the A to a D, and the 13 to a 0. Then we come to the end. I don't think we're ever going to get a value, but we'll just put you could put anything, or I'm going to put a double quote for blank. Then watch this. Close parentheses. The parentheses still is a color. Close parentheses. It's still a color. Still a color. It's black, so I know I'm done. And then Control Enter. And now when I double click and send it down, I get exactly what we want, our data extract. And so if we're changing these numbers all the time or whatever query is changing this, boom, that will update. Now, let's go look. There's just a much easier way to do this. Look at how many times we're having to run VLOOKUP in 2003 and earlier versions. So I'm going to get my VLOOKUP. Actually, I could do the just the VLOOKUP. Control C, escape. Now watch this. The function is equals if error, right? And if error. And the value is going to be just listed once, our VLOOKUP. Comma, if that comes out to be an error, then what do we want? Well, we're going to have to run our VLOOKUP again. So I'm going to highlight everything, including the comma. I'm going to click there and Control V. I'm going to change just this first day to B, and this first 13 to 2. And I come to the end and Control V. Change this A to a C, and this 3 to a 1, and then click at the end and Control V. And then we'll say this A is a D, and this 3 is a 0. Right? And then finally, at the end, we'll get our we'll put a double quote for blank and then close parentheses, close parentheses. I'm using that same trick when I see the black. Control Enter. Double click and send it down. Look at that. That is just so much better. We listed it, the VLOOKUP, 4 times instead of 8. And we didn't have to use that is number either. All right, we'll see you next trick.